Hello everyone and welcome back to the podcast of Audiogame Association. I'm Marta and in this episode I'm here with Giovanni Debidda. Hi Giovanni, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks Marta. How about you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here. Giovanni Debidda is the developer of Hellhunter, the new audio game of Audiogame Association. You can find the demo on Audiogame.it. But before talking about the game, let's start from you, Giovanni. Can you talk a little about yourself? Where do you live? What are your studies? How did you approach the world of development?
I'm 28 and live in Italy at Reggio Emilia. I love video games and reading manga. I have studied for the Bachelor in Information and Technology, but I retired before finishing. I always wanted to make video games, but since I got the first PC when I was 14, I never had the chance to making more than playing them until then. Starting from there, I messed with game editors and tried to mod existing games or create something with Game Maker or RPG Maker XP. During the university, I also started to make some ROM hacking for SNES games and joined some other projects. Finally, the last year, I had the chance to follow a game design course, and this way I got access to the world of audio games.
So this is your first game?
Despite I messed with mods and stuff, I actually never managed to complete any minor project, leaving behind me just a trail of work-in-progress projects. So Hellhunter 1 and Hellhunter 2 will be my first developed games.
Congratulations then. Well, now let's focus on the game. Can you give us a sneak peek of Hellhunter, like main character, setting?
Yes. Hellhunter tells a story about Elion, the main character of the game. He is a vampire, so the son of a vampire and a human. He's obsessed with hunting the vampires. In fact, he's a vampire hunter. On the way, he also fights against creatures of the night in general. At the time the game starts, he has a long career on his shoulders and decides that it's time to slay Dracula, the Lord of Darkness, for the sake of his personal mission. The story takes place in our days, that means the present, with humans and technology, internet and smartphones. People are not aware that those creatures exist for real, and some of them even manage to live among society. Alien officially is just an hunter. He can simply wander around with weapons and kill creatures, so that's his cover for the law. More precisely, he is in Transylvania, somewhere, and most of the events will happen far from the eyes of the people. During his travel in Hellhunter 1, Elion will also be chased from a deadly threat wherever he will go.
So, Hellhunter is definitely a horror audio game. How did you manage to bring the horror part into the game?
I put a lot of effort in the script of the story and tried to be quite detailed in some parts of it, especially the creepy ones. Yet I think that script and many monsters alone won't do the job. The point is that I believe the most important thing is to invoke the right mood during an horror game. And the audio has a key role in that. Since this is an audio game, I can count on the graphic. Hence, that is even more true.
Yes.
Said that, it's also necessary to time the audio properly. So I had to program many extra features just for that. Decide which type of audio and when to play is probably the most difficult part to me in the whole development of Hellhunter. Also because aside planning that, I had to create most of those type of sound and music on my own.
Wow.
But to be honest, it's my first experience in audiophile, so I can just hope I managed to achieve a good result. Finally, I programmed some extra game design features which allowed me to use the audio in an interesting way for my purpose. I tried to not rely too much on the jump scares. and tried instead to make feel anxious the player for wide periods of gameplay with the help of dynamic environment music and many other tricks.
Speaking of gameplay, are there any innovations in the gameplay structure?
Rather than calling them innovations, I'll call them enhancements. Hellhunter has a similar structure to Blind Quest 1. Anyway, I decided to stay classic instead of changing the structure into something else. The battle works in the same way. I even kept the fact that you have to press up to attack without any restriction on the time among the attacks. So technically, I kept the issue about mashing the up button as well. Said that, I think I fixed the issue with some programmed extra enemy features and game balancements. So now, among an enemy attack and another one, the player won't have much time to simply spam the attacks, which means such a tactic won't pay very much and actually could clearly lead the player to a game over. Besides, some enemies will even stop taking damage if you keep spamming attacks without dodging. The battle system of Hunter is designed so that the player should rather play safely, dodging the enemy attacks and not being too much greedy when attacking the enemy. Anyway, the actual enhancements are various extra behavior I added to the enemies. Some of the enemies will be able to make during the battle what the game calls deadly attack, which are powerful attacks with different extra effects among them. Among the effects, there will be buff to the enemy or debuff to the player. Also, different enemies will have to be approached in a different way. Some of the enemies can be defeated dodging instead of attacking, and it will be even more efficient in that way. These and other gimmicks will be found among the enemies of the game, and the player should be able to recognize their behavior from the descriptions about them and the sound during the battle. About the exploration, there will be some of the gimmicks I've mentioned before will restrict your movements and other nasty situations that will enhance the game experience of the player. On a side note, not all the gimmicks, both in battle and exploration, will be revealed in the demo, so the player can expect much more in the full version of Hellhunter.
Now I'm curious, which are your favorite parts, both to design and to play?
About design and gameplay, I can't tell for sure, since I still have to complete what happens after the demo. And I must say that the part of the story I like most is near to the end of the game, so I won't spoil anything to the players and stay inside the scope of the demo instead. Without any doubt, the part I like to design the most is the manor. It took quite some time making the level design of the area, especially due to the gimmick of the place, when then all the events inside it and the design of the music at the last. I wanted to create a certain mood, so I hope the feed of the players will be positive.
I'm sure that this will be the case. Also, I'm looking forward to playing it. So, well,
Yeah, great.
so that's all for now. Thank you so much, Giovanni, for being here, and congratulations for your new game.
Thanks to you as well, Marta.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to remind you all that you can find the demo of Giovanni's audio game, El Hunter, on Audiogame.store, and there's the link in the description down below. Well, thank you very, very much for listening to this episode of the podcast of Audiogame Association. Thank you, Giovanni. And goodbye till next time. Bye!
Bye!